Hello, my name is David Bates. I'm the candidate that this sign is intended to point you to. For the past 11 years, I've been earning my living from trading in the financial markets. Prior to that time, I invested in real estate, worked in the construction industry, and did some real estate development. I chose to move my family from Massachusetts to New Hampshire 10 years ago because I appreciate all the qualities that have been dubbed the New Hampshire advantage. The economic benefit of not having to pay any income or sales tax was one of my prime motivations in coming here. When we moved here, even our real estate tax was lower than what we had been paying in Massachusetts. Our overall cost of living was reduced, and therefore we have enjoyed a better standard of living because we are living here in New Hampshire. I don't want to see that change. For much of the time that we've lived here, it seemed that as things changed, the changes were modest and occurred gradually. Then in 2006, a quantum shift occurred in our legislature. Since that time, I've become greatly concerned about the pace and the nature of the changes that the current, what I consider overly liberal legislature has been producing. The current legislature has irresponsibly mishandled the budget. They've increased spending in the state's general fund by 17.5%, creating a potential deficit of approximately $200 million. As a result, the governor called an emergency session of the legislature to authorize up to $91 million in new bonds to help cover this deficit. In the future, we taxpayers will be continuing to pay off this legislature's spending spree from the past 2 years. Covering an operating deficit by issuing debt sets a new and dangerous precedent that this state can't afford to continue to follow. Each of us, as responsible individuals, must manage to live within our means. We should be able to expect the same from our government, but that has not been the case with our current legislature. They've raised numerous taxes and fees to pay for their increased spending. For example, we are now paying more for our phone bills, more for motor vehicle registrations, and they actually increased the tax on gasoline and diesel fuel. And although the increase was small, they did this while the cost of fuel prices were soaring to the point of having doubled. Last year, a bill was proposed to create a committee to study the feasibility of imposing a luxury and amusement sales tax. Other bills were proposed to implement taxes on the sale of candy and even on the sale of milk. Another bill was introduced to establish an income tax beginning in 2012. Fortunately, these bills were never signed into law. I mention them only to make everyone aware of the kinds of legislation that can be and is proposed when we elect the wrong people to represent us in Concord. In the area of social issues, I believe the public policy that this legislature has enacted is even more radical than the poor fiscal management they've demonstrated. They've pandered to homosexual activists, passing laws allowing homosexuals to enter civil unions and to adopt children. The legislators who promoted these laws have boldly declared that they will not relent until they change the current law in New Hampshire that prohibits marriage between people of the same sex. If they are successful, New Hampshire will have the dubious distinction of being the only state in the whole country to legalize homosexual marriage through the legislative process. They passed those laws, but they killed a proposal that would have put the question of marriage on a ballot so that the citizens of New Hampshire could express their opinion on the issue. The current legislature did not think that their constituents should be able to vote on this. I do. Last year, they repealed the existing common sense parental notification law, but they killed another bill that was proposed to affirm that the state should not abridge the right of parents to control the welfare and education of their children. The mentality behind these actions is that the state knows better than you what is best for you and your family. That is a premise that I utterly reject. So I went to the State House to speak out at numerous public hearings and committee meetings about several of these issues and others that I have not mentioned. I did all that just as an ordinary concerned citizen. Those experiences have led me to the conclusion that my efforts to influence legislation will be more effective if I am one of those legislators. That is why I'm running for the position of state representative. I am a Republican candidate and I agree completely with all the principles laid out in the party's platform. Not every Republican is as supportive of each of these principles. Some people describe themselves as moderates or progressive Republicans. So I urge all you voters to examine each of the candidates' position on the issues that are important to you, because being progressive is not a good thing when you're headed in the wrong direction. I want to ensure that New Hampshire moves in the right direction. Join me in that effort by voting for David Bates on September 9th and November 4th. Thank you.